If I could get everyone's attention, we're going to begin with the program. Continue to finish your meals and have your dessert and everything while we're going, but we have a lot to get through today, so I'd like to get started. We need to be done by 4 o'clock, so here we go. Our first presenter today is Tamara Bretting. She's the chair of the David H. Robertson Award. I also want everyone to give her a big hand for this beautiful program. This is all her work, and I certainly couldn't do this job without her. And thank you so much, Tamara. And here with the David Robertson Award, Tamara Bretting.
Thank you. So the David H. Robertson Award is an award for excellence in coaching, swimming, and diving. If you are a coach who has 5 state championship teams under your belt, it can be boys, girls, or both genders combined, you are eligible for the David H. Robertson Award. If you're a diving coach and you have 4 individual different students that have won a state title in diving, you can also get this award. This year, there are 2 award winners, both of them from Wyoming. My diving coach back in Laramie, Wyoming, has been coaching for 8 years, and he has 5 different students who have claimed state titles, but he is not here with us today. Our other awardee is here. If any of you have been watching ASU at the NCAA swim meet this week, there is an athlete who's a sophomore named Johnny Kulo, and he was 8th in the 50 free. He was part of the 200 free relay that's placed 3rd. He was part of the first place NCAA record-holding 400 medley relay. He went to high school in Lander, Wyoming. The boys team there has just won its 28th straight state title. And my dear friend Shauna Morgan is now the head coach. She's been coaching there for 9 years, including 9 of those boys' state titles, but also 5 girls' state titles. So Shauna Morgan is our awardee for David H. Robertson Award.
This next award, it's the inaugural year for this award. It's called the Award for Excellence in Media Coverage of Interscholastic Aquatic Sports. That's a mouthful. But the NISCA committee decided that we wanted to honor the media coverage that is provided by so many great outlets, and we're proud to have this award starting this year. And to present the inaugural award is going to be Mr. Dana Abbott.
I've always been impressed with some of the areas around the country that have good media coverage of high school swimming, and there are some areas where it's like a desert. And we thought we'd like to recognize areas that really do their best to help promote interscholastic aquatics, whether it's swimming, diving, water polo. A couple of years ago, this was proposed to the executive committee, and it was decided that it was a worthy endeavor and that it should be added to the professional awards program. The media include newspapers, magazines, radios, podcasts, anything that qualifies as a medium. And when we started discussing and digesting all of the possible honorees we could have, we came up with great newspaper in the Dallas area, the Dallas Morning News. We thought we wanted to go a little bit bigger than that. And it was finally decided that there is no greater voice for swimming and aquatics in the world, probably, than Swimming World magazine. And no person more deserving who is represented reporting on swimming and aquatics coverage than a very good friend of ours. This goes to Brent Rudemiller and Swimming World Magazine. And I have one more thing to say. The Professional Awards Committee, sorry, this gets me a little bit. We are renaming this award. This will henceforth be known as the Brent Rudemiller Award for Excellence in Media.
Wow, that's who's this Brent Rudemiller guy? I don't recognize him. There's a lot of benefit of not having hair. You don't have to shave your head anymore, or haircuts, no shampoo, and I heard chicks like it for some reason. So, but in reality, when you're faced with your own mortality, I'm surviving I'm winning. You look at life a lot differently, and you look at I've been given the gift of time. So with that, I have an opportunity to mend fences. I mend them all. You got time to reconnect with people, share memories. I got a saying: there's no better. There's no the only thing better than a new friend is an old friend, and I consider everyone in here to be friends. But on a on a reality, what's really important when someone asked me about the media. They said, Brent, so does a tree make a sound if it falls in the woods and no one's around? And I say, hell no, because the media wasn't there to cover it. So we're in a really interesting time with the media, and everybody has their own media outlet. Everybody has a voice, and I don't know if you guys realize this, but in Congress, I think it was in the 80s or 90s, they passed a law where you no longer had to give both sides to a story. It used to be you got the evening news, you had to do balanced reporting. You were required by law, and they did away with that. Therefore, the onset of talk shows, you hear news, but you hear people talking about news all the time. But I really worked hard with my staff to always bring balance. And I said, if you're going to be critical, you have to present solutions. And that's important. And I'm happy today that Jack Hallahan, the new publisher for Swimming World's here. And I think he's going to carry on in that direction. So there's a lot of things to be learned about today's media, and it's taken shots and things of that nature. And there's also a lot of shots at social media. But I can tell you that I've benefited tremendously from social media. Everyone downplays Facebook and things like that, but when people come together in a like mind of something, it's extremely powerful. And I was able to form. I knew when I had cancer as my prognosis, and they only gave me 5 months to live when I first got it. I knew I needed more than just me. I needed to get the community. I needed to have a greater energy out there. So I shared my story through we formed Rudemiller's Army through Facebook. And I can tell you, I never felt alone. I never felt alone. And there was always someone there before if it was 2 a.m. in the hospital, I can reach out and get something from somebody, and it gave me back. So there are a lot of benefits that are out there right now if it's done right and done correctly. But I think balanced reporting is so important, and to do that. And I was always proud that, to showcase the the core of, to me, of elite swimming is high school. And what starts out in high school is those kids get their self-image, they're reinforced with success, they're learning, and it propels them to go forward. So this institution, the NISCA, I'm very impressed with it. I think it's a very vital organization, an important organization. And when you look at all of those things, I have time to reflect on all of those. And believe me, I feel very honored, very blessed, and to have been a part of this. I'm extremely moved for the honor and being the first recipient, and my spirit will live with this. So thank you.
Next up to present the Life Member Award, Tom Voisfilovich will be presenting that.
I really think that this is a monumental day for us, celebrating 90 years. NISCA was formed in 1934, and we've been blessed since 1934 with just outstanding leadership. From Harry Boardman, our first president, till today, with Mark as our president. Mr. NISCA, Dave Robertson, C.T. Brannon, Bill Stetson, Richard Hood, Lanny Lantrip, just to name a few, who have served this organization and made it the stellar organization in the swimming community. Someone had said that there are 4 kinds of bones in every organization. There are the wishbones, who spend their time wishing someone else will do the work. And there are the jawbones, who do all the talking but little else. Then there's the knucklebones, who knock everything anyone ever tries to do. And then there's the backbones, who get under the load and do the work. Today we honor a true backbone of NISCA, Mark Onstadt, past president twice, outstanding service winner, National Coach of the Year, David Robertson Award winner, Collegiate Scholastic recipient, Hall of Fame awardee, coordinator of the All-America program par excellence, and our backbone, Mark Onstadt.
course, Tom, a lot of you probably don't know that Tom has an incredible life story. And I have heard many a story about Tom, from staying in the White House to interpreting for Lech Wałęsa, Polish president, and Tom doesn't speak Polish, but he was still interpreting. Anyway, Tom also, Tom knew everybody in Bayonne, the Prince of Bayonne. But the thing that he did, in my opinion, that was probably his greatest accomplishment, is that he basically started girls high school swimming in New Jersey. And he kind of did it by putting his foot down. And if you know Tom, you know that when he decides something, it usually gets done. It may be because he knows somebody who knows somebody, or somebody knows him, but it gets done. So thank you very much, Tom. My wife, who never, ever gives me advice before a situation like this, about 4 minutes ago, she looked at me and said, "Keep it short." She knows me too well. I don't talk a lot, but I end up talking too much. So I'd just like to thank NISCA. I have been a member of NISCA since the fall of 1975, when my head coach at Cedar Rapids Kennedy High School told me I should join NISCA. So I did. I've been a member ever since. I've attended the last 30 out of the last 31 conferences, except for 2002, when my lovely wife decided that for my birthday we should go to San Francisco. There was a vote at that changed the All-American, and all of a sudden we had 130 All-Americans in every event. And I said, you know what? I can't miss another one. I gotta go. So went many times when I was in Texas. So I've probably been to, 40, 45 of the meetings as well. And I just appreciate everything that NISCA has done for me. In our house, there were 4 seasons. There was girls' season in the fall. There was boys' season in the winter. There was NISCA season in the spring. And then there was club swim professional season in the winter. They overlapped quite a bit. And of course, NISCA was year-round, but the heavy part was in the spring. So I just really appreciate the award. It means a lot to me. I think this is like a final thing, like as you're going out the door, but I'm coming back next year.
We have 5 outstanding service awards to present today. 4 of these people will be here in attendance. So to start with that presentation, I'd like to welcome David Johnson to the mic to present the award to Greg Phil. So he gets both.
Good afternoon. NISCA officers, NISCA chairs, zone directors, award recipients, and friends of swimming. I'm honored to be here today to present a very good friend and a tremendous coach, Greg Phil. Greg's resume includes the following notable achievements. He is coached at Livonia Stevenson High School in Livonia, Michigan for 47 years. He's coached numerous national level swimmers and high school All-Americans, to include Sheila Taramina, a 1996 Olympic gold medalist. He has served on the Michigan Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association for 37 years, which included various stints as leading the organization as president. He's been awarded the Michigan Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association Regional Coach of the Year 4 times. He's been awarded the Michigan High School Girls Coach of the Year 3 times. He's a 4-time finalist for the National High School Coaches Association Coach of the Year, and he was inducted into the Michigan High School Coaches Hall of Fame in 2012. I'm very proud to introduce to you Coach Greg Phil.
Thanks, David. Thanks for those kind words. I'd like to thank NISCA and the NISCA board for this great honor. It truly is special when you do something and people look to you and say, hey, good job. Especially I'd like to thank on the NISCA board, Tom Hudson, for all the years of nagging me to get my resume in. And he won. I got it in, and thank you. I'd like to thank MISCA, the Michigan Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association. I'm not sure I would be coaching today if it wasn't for the time I've spent with MISCA. You get colleagues turn into good friends. And I've been with the board quite a while. I've the president, president-elect. Now I'm the clinic chair. But it's really nice to have those guys as a sounding board. Guys and girls, we do have those. And if something comes up, you know, they're just a phone call away. And then we do socialize and we have fun. And they make coaching a lot easier. I hope I do as part of that board too for the others. Finally, I'd like to thank my family. My 2 girls are at home preparing Easter dinner. My lovely wife back in the room, Julie. You guys, you men that have coached, you know what it takes to be a good wife. And I've always said, you know, if you're married, if you're a swimming coach and you're married, you better thank that wife. The times I've had to spend away from home, and it's just a lot. Very supportive, and I've been lucky. I've had some good swimmers that have come through my program, and not necessarily because of me, but boy, I sure did benefit from it. You know, I got to go to a lot of swim meets in a lot of different states, and it was fun, and it still is. And again, I just thank you very much for this award.
I'd like to welcome back to the podium Mark Onstadt.
I have the great honor of introducing Corky King of Illinois for the Outstanding Service Award. Corky, if you look in the book there, he's coached on all levels. He's had great success, All-Americans, state champions, top 3 finishes at state, Coach of the Year awards, everything. And he's just he is one of the legendary high school coaches in Illinois, and he was at Hinsdale Central the last 15 years of his career. Hinsdale Central and New Trier. I was at New Trier. Had a little bit of a rivalry going back to 1967 when Hinsdale Central stole the state championship from its rightful owner, New Trier. I mean, we weren't better than them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they shouldn't have won it. But then once they got it, they won it for like 12 years. So there's a lot of rivalry, and I loved swimming against Corky because he's competitive, and I'm a little bit competitive. So you weren't going to get somebody to come in and kind of half rear end it, swim kids and off events and do that. No matter what, Corky was coming after you, and I loved that. He was serious. I always admired his teams. They were well coached, well disciplined. Everything you want to say about a group of guys, Corky instilled that in his teams. And we actually retired the same year, 2014. And there were 2 embarrassed coaches there, Corky and I, when they made a big deal out of the fact that we were retiring. And we had to stand up in front of everybody, God and everybody, and they said a couple nice words about us. I know Corky felt the exact same way I felt. This is ridiculous. Let's have a swim meet. But there is no one who deserves this honor more, and I'm extremely proud to present Corky King.
Good afternoon. So as I think about who just introduced me, and he said he loved swimming against me, and it's mainly because he beat me every time we swam. Mark set the standard in Illinois, and I'm finding out today from this award that he also set the standard in the United States with all the work he's done from Iowa, excuse me, Texas, and then at New Trier. And New Trier was kind of so when he first got there, and he went on to win multiple state titles and a national title and things like that. And so I'm super honored to be introduced by you, Mark. Thank you. Moving on to 2 other people, Tom Hudson and Tamara Bretting. They worked their magic to get me here somehow. I kept messing up pictures and different things, and so they helped me through this, and I appreciate your guys' help. And when you think of these 3 people, it's kind of a microcosm of NISCA, people that are donating and volunteering their time to make America great. Not just, Mark was the gold standard in Illinois and through NISCA, just like all of you in here. It is the backbone of high school swimming. And it's like any board of directors of anything, you only hear the complaints, and you never hear the praise. But you guys have done a lot for the swimming, and I'm super appreciated for that and this award. Probably my greatest thanks goes to my wife, Julie. I come home late, miss a lot. I was doing some U.S. swimming where you're gone to junior nationals for a spell, and she was holding the ship down. And with, the love and the support she gave me and kept me going for 38 some years, I truly appreciate it. So I think as I finalize my comments, I'm so blessed to be in a sport that I liked, or in a job, if you want to call it a job. I don't think we ever did. There's too many people in this world that are making a paycheck but don't like what they do. And I really loved all the years I taught and I coached. And so I'm super, super lucky for that. And, the pay was okay. I mean, I'm watching these Lakers and Indiana Pacers, and we probably don't get paid as much as those coaches. So I get it, but I'm not sure. The pros are a different story, maybe even college. High school, these kids, they just soak up your attention. And you do make a difference, all the high school coaches, because they're so formative, these years for them. And I always said, if I can put a smile on this kid's face before practice, during practice, after practice, at the taper meet, or whatever, that's all the pay I needed, that smile. So my goal as I move off to the next years, I'm never going to forget all those smiles they gave me and I gave them. And I'm never going to forget this beautiful award. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next up to present Tim Soroy's award is Tim Richardson.
Thank you. When I got a call from Tim a while back and he asked me about this, I had to look back to, I took an absence from coaching for about 20 years. So I was in it from 80 to 2000. And I go back and look at this little program we got here and all the people who have touched me over the years in their quest to be, that are up here. And I always looked up to, and I'm coming in as a 22, 23-year-old, just looking up like, God, these guys are awesome. And then after going through this weekend and coming down here, and I'm a little older now, but the fact that the people, the presenters we had the last couple of days came in here and I was inspired. I told my wife that on the phone and she said, don't get any ideas. I retired about 7 years ago from teaching at Evanston Township High School. And about 4 days later, I was hired at Highland Park High School to run the pool. And I'm not sure how I thought that was going to go. Teach kids how to swim, have fun, recruit for the swim teams. That was all. That's something I've always done. I've had more fun doing that than probably anything. And then Tim and I there wasn't any coaching open at that time, and I really didn't have any interest in coaching. But the age group coach brought me in and brought me full circle back to, he goes, what do you think about coaching age group? And I said, so I have to go all the way back and start over again. And I'm like, I don't know if I can handle that. He said, you can do whatever you want, any level you want. You pick the days of the week. And I couldn't turn it down. So I got back to it, and it was evenings and stuff. And then a year later, there was an opening for girls. And Tim and I met each other at the state meet. We talked at the state meet because I've already got to know him some. And the next thing I know, I said, one thing, I do not want to be a head coach. That's got to be on you. You're the one that knows everything. And I'll help you out in any way I can. So then I got back into it. And then the rest has been history. After Tim, he took a little sidestep getting out of college. He decided to go into the business world for a little bit. And then I don't know what woke him up or how he did it, but he decided, I want to be a coach and a math teacher. And math is phenomenal. He'll sit there and tell you everything you want to know without even looking at a calculator, and which I can't even subtract. And the next thing you know, we knew that was his passion. He paid his dues heavily, working his way up the system. working at Fenton High School, doing the age group team, and he never said no. No, I can't do this. And I know Kathy would have said, no, don't do this. Don't take on another role. But everything he either done for a child or as a coach or committee or you name it, up and down the line, whether it was a high school, whether it was a conference, whether it was NISCA, whether it was the high school association, it didn't matter. He just looked out for the kids and wanted to make sure that they got the best opportunity to become whatever they wanted to be. Tim kind of brought me back to earth completely. My style of coaching, before I got out, was more authoritative coaching. My father was a band director, administrator growing up, and that's the only thing I knew. And it worked for a while. But it was time to step back, and I wasn't used to having kids like me. And didn't really get to that point until I came back to coaching at Highland Park. And the kids come out of the class and say, after we had done whatever in the pool or practice, and said, thanks, coach. And I'm looking around to figure out, who are they talking to? Because I've never heard that. I usually heard the other word where I was at before, which was really crazy to hear about. As people don't know, Tim, on Sundays, he goes to Starbucks and tutors anyone that wants to come in and get some help. And I don't know nobody in their right mind. He loves so much the kids. And so I'm giving you a background of what he brings to the table. And whether nobody showed up or there were 10 kids that showed up, he would stay there as long as possible to help them out daily or on a Sunday. Tim told me about times he'd be driving home, he'd have to pull over, whether it was at Fenton or when he started out at Highland Park, to pull over and take a cat nap because he wasn't going to make it home after the long days when in practice and AM practice, teach all day, coach, and then age group, which he formed about 20 years ago. And the only way all of us know is to really get your program going is you need some kind of a support program to bring in. So Tim pounded the doors about getting a team and getting workout space, etc. And then eventually getting on the ballot to build a new pool. And then I call it a state of the art. We got a gorgeous facility. Everyone loves to come to our facility and swim there. They wish we had enough seating that we could host a state meet, but we obviously don't have that kind of, nobody has the seating anymore. When I was coaching, it was either New Trier or Evanston High School hosted a state meet. And our pools are nothing to write home about, but we're the only ones that had seating. Our pool was built in 1957, and I'm not even sure what, this is the second or third pool New Trier had at that time. And they went from, 9 lanes to 8 lanes, just so we didn't have to wear hip boots to be soaked as you walked around the pool, because there was this much space to walk and you're going around the pool. So now that it's separate, it's awesome. As I mentioned, Tim has always held his swimmers and divers to the highest standards. And just like most of you, communication was the top thing. They had to communicate with us one way or another, why they weren't at practice. At the end of a race, he would say, you need to come up to one of the coaches and talk to one of them and tell them about your race. You need to get some feedback. If you don't, shame on you. And then he would give them heck about not coming back. And he'll go, did you talk to so-and-so? Did you talk to so-and-so? I go, no, yes, or, and then we'd share our feedback on each of the kids that came back to us. Having the opportunity to work with him the last 7 years and get to know him, I've seen firsthand his love and commitment to teaching and coaching. A majority of his career has been at Highland Park in a complete uphill. I mean, Mark will say the same thing. No one wanted to swim Highland Park. It was, okay, we got to go to swim against him. Okay, fine. But he didn't care. I mean, he cared, but he must have seen a light up there, because
His was a complete uphill battle. A number of us have had the opportunity to apply and go to another facility working up the ranks and say, hey, I could go over there and I could, you know what, I'd skip all this and get to here because of what I have accomplished or what the teams have accomplished. He didn't do that. He went through growing pains for probably most of that time. And his time away trying to get a team going, have coaches, lose coaches, get more coaches, and then continue with that was really hard to do. And he gave me the opportunity to regroup and do something. The reason I got into teaching was to coach. And that back in those days, if you didn't coach, you didn't get hired at any school. And you had to be in the building if you were going to coach. And nowadays, it's obviously a lot different than it was. So and then he built an extremely successful program. People look up to it and say, hey, your program has really come a long ways. Soon after he built the school, the pool. So once he got through all these different organizations, and he'll talk to me about it, as he's mentioned before, we'll go sit at the bar at the end of a practice or end of a meet and talk about whatever, how did that go? And, what do we need to do for the next week? And he and I would share lineups and then put them together, towards the end of the season and see and compare and see where we're at. Usually we're pretty close to everything we did. And then, or we get the mind thinking, oh, maybe this would be better. Since we don't have pre-qualifying, you had to get your pieces together for the sectional meet because that was your one chance to do it. And even if you got DQ'd, you were DQ'd and you were done. So he stayed on top of that. Excuse me. I don't know how he juggled family. One of the coaches told me, he goes, how does Tim juggle family, teaching, coaching, and do all of them well or great at the same time? And I truly and I said, I don't know how, I say that every day to him. I said, you're out of your freaking mind. How did you do this? He'd be at the pool at 5 a.m. doing his grading for classes for math. And then if it's a day of the kids coming in for practice, he's there. If it's not a day they're coming in, he's there. So that was his sanctuary. Literally, it's all lit up, beautiful facility. He has his table up here, and he's sitting there. He makes me a pot of coffee, always. And for 6 years, I had coffee all the time. I mean, he had it set for me. And I look there, and I want to thank his family. They were unbelievable as far as I go. And for Kathy to endure all this and the kids, and I'm glad they're all here today, including his grandson. I'd like to bring Tim Sharris up and recognize his outstanding service to high school competitiveness and aquatics.
Thanks, Tim. I want to thank NISCA very much for this award. I've been inspired by NISCA ever since I picked up a phone in the mid-90s and talked to Peter Hugo, and he welcomed me very much, and that stuck with me. Very much admired Mark Onstadt. It was very intimidating to come into the conference I was in and have coaches with his success, but he inspired me all the time. When you coach and you love what you do, and you love teaching and you love coaching, and you look forward to going into work each day because you love those things, it's not hard to do. You do it because of that. I do have to say, really, swimming, without swimming and without high school swimming, I wouldn't have met my wife. And and she put up with a lot with all the time away, as Tim alluded to. And my family, those who coach, know if you have the opportunity to coach your own children, it is a blessing. And you guys who are here with me now today, family, thank you very much. Thank you for letting me be a part of your lives in that time, and watch you grow, and thanks to all the teams that I had. It's phenomenal, and thank you once again.
Our next recipient was scheduled to be Judy Story. Judy is from Oregon, very deserving of this award. If you're watching the live stream, Judy, congratulations. She's a very, very busy lady coaching all sorts of things, swimming and track, and wasn't able to make it, but congrats to Judy Story. Our final presentation of Outstanding Service Award, Mr. Darren Miller.
Hello. It is my great honor to introduce one of the 2024 NISCA Outstanding Service Award winners, Mr. David Julkowski. On the NISCA website, the criteria for the Outstanding Service Award is the following. Served aquatics for at least 15 years. Been a member in good standing with the association for at least 10 years. Had above average success as a competitive aquatic coach. And has shown leadership at the local, state, city level, or the national level in interscholastic aquatics. Dave meets all these descriptions tenfold. Dave has coached for 22 years in Michigan. He has had 15 All-State athletes and dozens of All-Americans. He has been MISCA, the Michigan Swim Coaches Association, Zone Coach of the Year twice, and Conference Coach of the Year 3 times. He has had 6 conference championships. As the Bloomfield Hills High School teacher, he was awarded the prestigious Bridging the Technology Gap in Education Award through Chrysler and the Detroit Science Center. In 2019, MISCA awarded him our highest swimming honor, the Matt Mann MISCA Hall of Fame Award. In September, David will be enshrined in the MHSCA, the Michigan High School Coaches Association Coaches Hall of Fame. If you just look at David's awards and accomplishments, you are merely looking at the tip of an iceberg. You are only seeing a very small portion of what is there. Dave has been serving our association and all the coaches and athletes in the state since 2000. During this time, he has served MISCA in the following roles: Zone Vice President, Awards Chair, President, Website Master, Swim Cloud Liaison, and he's the host of our podcast, The Main Set. Dave is so known and respected thoroughly in the swim community in Michigan, he only needs one letter for identification. Z has been the go-to person for so long. I wish I had $1 for all the times I've heard the following phrases. Let me ask Z. What did Z say? What does Z think? This does not include the mountains of texts and emails he receives every year asking for his opinion. He has done and continues to do so much for our sport, our state, MISCA, and all the athletes and coaches in Michigan. I was fortunate enough to coach Dave as an age group swimmer at the Royal Penguins. And I could tell you, even as a 9-year-old, when he was a lowercase z, he was exactly the same as the man that will be coming to the podium in a minute. He is hardworking, his attention to detail, well prepared, and he never lets anybody outwork him. I think back to that lowercase z and all the way to today. Everything that he has done, everything that he continues to do, the man he has become, and to be in service for so many. I'm so proud of you, Dave. David makes us all better. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2024 NISCA Outstanding Service Award winner, Mr. David Zulchevsky.
Thank you to Darren for the kind words. Thank you to NISCA, to Tom, and the entire group here today for putting this together, for the long hours you guys put into making this such a great event, and the work you put in all year. Thank you, NISCA. I learned early on that athletics was more than the wins and losses and more than the yards and the time you put in. You had to do more than that. And I think it started at an early age with my parents that, you're going to get after something, you're going to be dedicated, you're going to, learn about hard work. I'm so grateful for them, for the foundation they laid and the sacrifices they made for me and for my brother to show us the importance of athletics in our lives. In the winter of '87, I walked onto a pool deck for the first time and met Darren. And he was one of those coaches that showed me all the great things about athletics, about swimming, about competition, but more importantly, the work you do outside the pool. The team environment and all the great things that you do when you're at a pool, the breakfasts and the time you have, the conversations and memories you make. And that started to build for me, to give me all the great tools that I needed to go be a great coach. It wasn't about writing the sets or winning and losing. It was about the time you spend with your athletes. 37 years later, I can still thank Darren for continuing to bestow that upon me and show me the great ways of giving more to your athletes and more to your community. And I'm grateful for that time we have. We're neighbors. He has been a huge part of my kids' life and my wife's life as well. And I'm grateful for the continued mentorship that you've given me. Just a few other coaches and people in my life that I'm grateful for. Peter Lynn at Eastern Michigan for taking a chance on me as a senior in high school and starting to lay out the X's and O's for me and showing me all the great things that go on behind the scenes with swimming, all the science that goes into it, the planning, the dedication, the commitment. Just an outstanding coach, but just a wonderful role model that shared so much with me, and grateful for the time I had on the pool deck with him. Very fortunate to get a teaching job right out of high school and to walk onto a pool deck with two men that showed me so many great things. And again, to continue to show me that it was the work you do in your community, the work you do with your organizations, the work you do with your athletes and their families. Mike Rado was the coach at Lasser High School when I was a coach at Andover. We taught together at Lasser for 15 years. I appreciate the time and, again, just the examples he set for me. The sounding board he was for me on a day-to-day basis. At first I thought he was just coming down so he could go smoke behind the dumpster over by my classroom. But early on, it was swimming. It was the conversations we had. And he quickly shared with me that you've got to get involved. You've got to continue to do work. You've got to be active in your organization, and I'm going to take you with me. And we were at NISCA meetings that first year, OA meetings, league meetings, and it just continued to go from there. I miss my friend. I miss the conversations we had, but very grateful for what he did for me. The other gentleman who did so much for me is another award recipient today. It's Don Mason. Don was my diving coach at Andover, and again, just showed me the importance of the swimming and diving community and the work we had to do with our athletes to build an environment to continue to give back to the school district and help the kids grow and just nurture them and sometimes nurture the parents too. But I thank you for all the great conversations we had in the time that we shared together on the pool deck. To all my buddies at NISCA, got involved very early on, and I continue to thank you guys just as Greg did. Happy to share the stage with you today, Greg, and thank you for all you've done for NISCA and for all the great conversations we've had over the years. Michael McHugh, Brad Jones, Darren Miller, Ian Cobes. There's so many guys that and women that have been there for me to support me, the Hills, and just so many other great people. I could go on and on, but I thank NISCA every day for helping build that swimming community, letting me be part of it, letting me use my skills and knowledge in the sport to go do some special things. I'm so grateful to serve NISCA every day, and all it's given back to me is so great. I started with my parents, and I close with my family now. Sorry. Excited to have my kids here with me. I stepped away a couple years ago so I could be part of their lives and do more with them. It's exciting to see you guys get so revved up when we're at gymnastics on Friday night, when we're skiing at ski club. I love being first base coach. It's just awesome to see the two of you grow and see how important it is and how much coaches play in your lives. And I'm just so happy to be with you guys every day and drive you back and forth to practice. I thank you too for all you give me. And finally, to my wife, it's been said a few times, but if it wasn't for swimming, I would never have met my wife. We coached together. She did. You continue to be my biggest supporter, my biggest fan. I thank you for your patience, for the great job you do at home raising our kids, letting me do all the great things I do on the pool deck. I love you so much. Thank you. Congratulations to everybody today. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to look back on a great career and celebrate some great things. I'm proud of what we've done and grateful to share it with you today. So thank you.
We have two recipients today of the Collegiate Scholastic Swimming Trophy. The Collegiate Scholastic Swimming Trophy, as well as the Hall of Fame Trophy. If you've seen them in years past, they're huge. They're like this tall, bronze statue. It's just too much of an award to bring to this. You'd have to check another 50-pound suitcase to get it home. So we are presenting just a replica of that today. The award itself will be shipped to your home. You already have the bronzes, but the award itself will be shipped to your home in the next couple of days when you get home. So to begin the Collegiate Scholastic Swimming Trophy presentations, I'd like to welcome Ethan Burke.
Good afternoon, everyone. I got the chance to meet Don Mason in 2012 when I walked into my first high school conference meet. It was the first pool with all the fancy scoreboards and judge boxes and so many coaches with knowledge, but everyone seemed to look to Don. And I'm incredibly, incredibly grateful to be in his presence still. He continues to put up with my shenanigans for some reason. But we got the chance to begin coaching together in 2017 when my diving career took an unexpected end and a coaching career started. Don picked me up and wouldn't let the sport leave my life. And I'm so grateful to be here today with everybody and to be speaking about you. Every year, Don hosts the most incredible All-American selection event, which I have again been lucky to participate in. And he might not want me to tell you this, but he cares so deeply, not only for everybody in this room that contributes to NISCA, but to all the athletes that this program makes a difference in their lives. It's an exciting and rewarding part of handing so much knowledge and kindness to the community of diving. A coach's job is never truly done, and I might be an example of how I'm a work in progress, and you'll continue to give me advice, I'm sure. But to see Don's former athletes come back and share their accomplishments with him gives me so much happiness to see the excitement they have for sharing true proud moments with their coach, but the pride that Don has for his athletes that come back and share part of their lives with him. So now that I've told you that he has a soft side, I'd like to introduce Don Mason, and please help me welcome him here to the stage.
Thank you for the kind words, Ethan. And Z, I got to tell you, it warms my heart to be here just for me to experience this. So I'm not going to ad-lib it because I'm not going to cry. So when I was growing up, athletes received awards. Coaches provided the expertise, motivation, and guidance. This is strange, right? Receiving awards is not natural for coaches. It just never felt comfortable. But for me, coaching was about giving back, helping others, and guiding young adults to become respected members of society. My reward was watching them as an athlete receive the success and taking pride while knowing everything that they overcame to get to that point. That was all I needed. Getting recognized from this was the farthest thing from my mind. So, but over the years, my mentors have made such a difference in my world. They've helped me to navigate through the challenges in my earlier years. Teaching me what it meant to hold the position of a coach. My colleagues held me accountable, pushed me to be my best, and it's truly been a wonderful journey. Throughout all of it, I have been truly blessed. Coaching has broadened my horizons, opened doors to new beginnings, and taken me to more places than I ever could imagine. I've met so many people along the way, made lifelong friends that would never have happened if I had chosen differently. The enrichment that I have received was greater than anything I could have ever imagined. The athletes, their parents, coaches, even the adversarial ones that I have had the pleasure of knowing has made my life better in so many ways. Thank you for acknowledging my small part in the sport of swimming and diving. Thank you for supporting my efforts and for helping me to make a difference in our sports. And I'd like to leave you with this. Remember to always be looking for that lost soul in your program or on your team that needs you to take an interest in them. You have the ability to instill a spark, an idea, or a belief in a young person's life that needs to be cultivated and shared. Please don't ever forget that you make a difference to someone. I appreciate all that you, the member and coaches of NISCA, do for the sport I love, and just want to say thank you.
I'd like to welcome next to the podium Chris Hugo.
Hello, my name is Chris. I am my father's oldest son. We have two sons. He has two sons with my mother, and I'm incredibly honored to be here with all of you to introduce my father, Peter Hugo, for the Collegiate Scholastic Award on this very proud day for our family. In 2020, during the worst days of the COVID pandemic, and directly as a result of that, an opportunity came my way that would be my singular greatest experience of my life. And that was to be able to help raise my brother and his sister-in-law had just had their first baby right before the lockdowns. And she was having a very difficult time. He was going to work. He owned a deli and was trying every way he could to keep it afloat. She was at home in a basement apartment with a baby, her first baby, and didn't see anybody. Her family, our family, nobody was allowed in because we didn't want the baby to get COVID. So she was having a very difficult time. And my brother became worried for her, so he asked if I could help out. Obviously a few COVID tests, and she would let me in the door eventually. But even my brother, who was gone, he was just half a mile up the road at his deli, and he had become very concerned with her mental and physical well-being. Well, long story short, I helped raise my nephew until he was about 3.5 years old. And by the time I left, I moved in with them. By the time I moved out again, he had a sister, a 1-year-old sister. And I was lucky to spend a year raising the two of them, although it was a very difficult year. But we're here to honor my father. And as my grandmother, my father's mother, would say, what does all this that I'm talking to you have to do with the price of beans in Boston? I'll tell you, Nanny. It took me a long, long time to figure this out, but when my niece, Cammie, was born, my nephew had a hard time accepting that he was no longer the only child. He was politely asked to leave, 2 or 3 pre-kindergarten schools for talking to his classmates with his hands and his feet. He liked to kick and push. That's how he expressed himself at the time, and it was very dismaying to all of us. And things at home weren't much better. I struggled when I was alone with him and my niece to keep him happy while at the same time trying to keep her alive, which was hard enough on its own, but made much harder with his numerous murder attempts at her. They were just unabashed sometimes, and it was very difficult. There was yelling, screaming, crying, temper tantrums, breakdowns, the pushing, the hitting, the kicking, and well, not so much the pushing, the hitting, and kicking, but the temper tantrums and the yelling and screaming. That was really mostly on my part. My nephew Danny's emotions were nearly as out of control as mine. It was just very emotional to not know what to do, and that's just that's not hyperbole. It was the truth. And so, Nanny, here's what all this has to do with the price of a can of beans in Boston. When raising children, their minds are like sponges, and they just soak in everything that we say to them or that we do to them, especially in those early years. They pick up on everything, and their minds are seemingly boundless. And we try to tell them everything we know, instill them with all the knowledge that we have, and give them a head start. We try to teach them with our words and our voices. When they misbehave, we might yell at them. We may lecture them. My brother, I think on more than one occasion, would spend an hour or more in my nephew's room. He had been punished for whatever bad behavior he had done, and just talking to him, and it was impressive. But at the same time, things weren't getting better. They actually got worse for a little while, and so did the behavior. So as the behavior of my nephew got worse, so did the behavior of the adults, my brother, my sister-in-law, and to my dismay, my own. But the reality of the situation was actually quite different. It was that as my brothers, my sister-in-laws, and my behavior spiraled, so did my nephew's. He was following our lead. And that's when I finally realized that is when I realized that children learn by watching us. They don't learn by what we tell them. They learn by what we do as grown-ups. And they learn from our good behaviors and our bad behaviors, everything, because their minds are sponges. They do not learn what we yell at them. They learn to yell when we yell at them. They get absolutely nothing from lectures and from talking, as far as I can tell you. They do as we do, and the most important thing you can do when raising children is to show them the way you want them to be. Be the person you want them to be. And I think we forget that even high schoolers and college kids, college students, are still very much children. In my opinion, they're infants, really. So I don't know if this was by design. I don't think so, but now it's too late to ask him whether this was by design. My father knew this as he was doing it, or not, because he would definitely say he knew what he was doing. But his success, I think, in interscholastic athletics as a high school swimming and diving coach for I don't know how long you did it for. I don't know, but at its most fundamental levels, it was due to the fact that my father has every single day of his life that I have known him lived life as a person that anyone and everyone should want to be like. He is, and he was by no means perfect. But I think maybe learning from our mistakes is the most important lesson kids can learn. They need to learn that we make mistakes, and they need to know how to own them, and learn from them. God knows how many children are out there living in their adult bodies who would wait in line gratefully to attest to the fact that my father has taught them by his actions and his deeds. He's affected many, many lives for the better, and I would speculate he may have saved a life or two. So, on behalf of my extremely proud family, I present my father. Peter, you go.
I asked you to keep it short so I could be a little longer. Thanks to Tom and Tamara for doing the work you do. I know what it's like. It's no fun, but it is fun. It is fun. everything we do here is fun. We don't do it for any. What else would we do it for if we didn't enjoy this? You know, I was talking with Brent this morning. You know, the glass half full, the glass half empty. You know, you've got to be up, no matter what. Optimism and like Chris said, showing what you do and how you do it is huge. Because you can yell at somebody all you want, but if they see you get in the water, or if they see that you're staying late, or you're going to Starbucks to help people, that's all what it's about. That's why we're here. It scares me a little bit about the future. I think we need to cultivate the family better. I think we need to cultivate why volunteerism is so important. But I don't see that happening, and it's up to us to make that change. But it's certainly an honor to be here. You know, I've worked for NISCA forever. I've done everything there is, anything that anybody's ever asked, I will do, hopefully with a smile on my face. But the experiences that this organization has given me, I really can't put it in words, but I'm going to try. But I really can't put it into words. It's very hard. You know, everybody says don't name names. It's not about naming the names, but these names, these are people that have molded my life to who I am. You know, I talked with Brett this morning. I haven't seen Brent since Texas when we drove to the meet together. Listening to, you know, having a conversation about life, not about swimming, but about life. And again, that's what it's about. That's why we're here. We do talk about swimming all the time, but at some point in time, you have to separate and enjoy. So, you know, you got Brent, I'll never forget Dick Hanula. I'll say this till I die. I was a 21-year-old, a 23-year-old kid. We were at Brown Deer. It was I think my second NISCA. And we went to this little diner across the street from Brown Deer, and there's Dick Hanula, and he asked us to come sit with him. He didn't know me from a hole in the wall. Well, from that point on, I was hooked. And I was a big Dick Hanula fan, because I don't think there are very few coaches in the United States that was as good as Dick Hanula was, and good for NISCA. You know, and I don't want you to forget these names. These names are important for NISCA. We shouldn't forget Glenn and Elsa Kay, you know, for all they did for NISCA, and for what they did for me. Was huge. Skip Bird. Skip Bird was probably, we would come to this meeting, and Skip Bird would have a half-hour slideshow that we were in tears when we left. It was so funny. And again, experiences. You know, I was able to, through my presidency, be able to deal with Chuck Wilgus, John Leonard, Sam Freeze, and you know, the pillars of our swimming families. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't involved with NISCA. And then, of course, now we got the NISCA family. You know, we've got Arville, we've got Dana, we've got we have Don Boyd, we have Tom, Marnie, Rich, Dave, Diane Hicks Hughes, and Mark, and Eve, and my friend Walt Osulski. And then of course, then you have Sandy Searcy and Becky Oates from the Federation that have always had our backs. They're always, you know, ready and able to answer questions or anything. So, you know, these people, I know, and I apologize if I left your name off, but anybody that's in this room, you have molded my life and had an impact on my life. Some of the things that have happened, again, because of this. I was a groomsman at Arville's wedding. Now, come on. But I was there for him. I slept the night after his wedding with his father and his son in the room. It was crazy, but we did that. You know, I spent the weekend in Katy, or a week rather in Katy, in San Antonio. Who remembers the Indianapolis Athletic Club? Yes, there aren't very many people that remember that. But the first one I ever went to We stayed at the Indianapolis Athletic Club. It was about 1,000,000 years old. You turn the water on, you're lucky it didn't turn out tin. Getting picked up at the airport by Glenn Kay and having Bruce Hopping in the car. Bruce Hopping, if you remember, he was crazy. He was just crazy. But he grilled me all the way home from the airport about what was my role in swimming, blah, blah, blah. But again, I'll never forget it. This happened, I can't tell you how many years ago. There's so many good things. And this is the one thing I'd like to say to all the people that are new here or young coaches is it's worthwhile to do. It's a great organization. You're working with kids who we all love. So stay with us, come back, because we really need you. Okay, so now I would just like to say thank you for everything that NISCA has done. It's been an honor to receive this award, and quite frankly, a bigger honor to receive it with Don, who is one of my better friends here. We do a lot together. Last year, he almost got me arrested, or 2 years ago. If you remember Centennial Park, it closes at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Well, yeah. Well, we decided we left, we went through it, we came back, it was locked. Well, the diver in him, oh, no problem, I just jump over the fence. And it says, do not enter, right? So he's up there, he's just, come on, climb. So now I'm just trying to get my 1 foot over. And then what happens? This big, humongous policeman, hey, what are you doing? Well, he didn't stay because I was stuck on the fence. He didn't stay. He ran across Centennial Park. My buddy. Thank you, Don. And again, I appreciate everything you do. But anyway, thank you very much for NISCA. It's a wonderful award. I appreciate it.
Our final award, our Hall of Fame award, the highest honor that NISCA can bestow. The presenter for the 2024 Hall of Fame award, Allison Snyder.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor today on behalf of my brother Mike and myself to introduce my dad, Roy Snyder, for this very prestigious award. If it wasn't for an injury that my dad sustained playing basketball, not swimming, when he was in high school, and he was rehabbing it in the pool at his William Allen High School, or Allentown High School, we wouldn't all be here today, because my dad truly loved basketball. In fact, the first thing we did when we got here was to go over to the basketball stadium. So it's really interesting because we saw my dad's high school coach was a NISCA president, David Hackett, back when he was coaching swimming when my dad swam. But my dad ended up being a really successful swimmer because of David Hackett. And he wanted to be a basketball player, but because of the injury, ended up swimming. And when he swam butterfly with a breaststroke kick. So he tells all the swimmers that story, and they practiced without suits. I don't think that would happen in today's world. So you can read in the bio all about my dad's accolades, but it really doesn't come close to defining him as a coach or a person. And I'm lucky enough as his daughter, I swam for him and I coach alongside of him now. And it's really great for me to see him as a coach from both sides. Tradition, everyone matters, deep love of the sport, and being an ultimate student of the sport are just some of the values my dad models in his role as a coach and mentor to the young men of Wilson High School. After coaching 60 years, tradition never graduates continues to be the mantra of Wilson Swimming. My dad is most proud of the family of swimmers that he's coached and the relationships, just like everyone else has talked about today. He's had some of his former swimmers are now a federal judge, a newscaster on Fox News, many doctors, lawyers, and they all keep in touch with him. And it's so amazing to see them come back at the holidays and visit him. So it really is a family, just like all of you have as well. What I love best about my dad's coaching style is the philosophy that everyone matters. So when we have our championship meets, we have, as everybody does, the different levels. My dad gets more excited over a kid breaking a minute in the 100 free for the first time than he does for a relay or an individual to break a state record or a district record. That really makes his day when he gets to see something like that happens. And I think that comes from a lot of my mom's influence on our whole family. And her saying was, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And she always said that to us. And my dad works just as hard with beginning swimmers as he does with the really superstars. And my dad and his dear friend, who just recently passed away, Dick Geyer, who some of you may know through NISCA, they started a coaching seminars called Swiminars in the early 1980s. And they had a lot of very prestigious swimmers and coaches, including Rowdy Gaines and Ed Reese. And I'm hoping I get to see Rowdy tonight at the finals. But they spoke at clinics all over the country that my dad and Dick started. And it was the first of its kind and very highly successful. So after 60 years, and I will say, I know a lot of you coaches mentioned you're very competitive. I don't think any of you have coached 60 years yet. So that's a pretty big accomplishment. And a lot of people say to him, well, are you going to come back and coach next year? And why do you keep doing it? And after my mom passed away from brain cancer in 2015, many thought my dad would just give up coaching. But I believe that this inspired him even more to instill his love of the sport of swimming. He loves it so much. He actually loves going to morning practice. So unheard of. At the end of each winter swim season, he is immediately talking about how the kids are going to do next year and talking about their next year's hopes and dreams and aspirations. And one of the greatest honors of my dad's coaching career was having the Wilson School District name the pool in his honor in 2003. And I'm so grateful that my mom was still alive, and I know that she's here with us in spirit today. So in conclusion, one of my dad's favorite swim coaches, who some of you all also have mentioned today, NISCA Hall of Fame inductee Skip Bird, once wrote an article, Getting Ahead by Swimming in Circles. And when I think of all the circles that my dad has either swum himself or has watched other people swim, it's truly amazing and inspirational. Dad, you more than anyone I know have truly gotten ahead by going in circles. We love you, and we're so proud of you today and every day. So I present to you my dad, Roy Snyder.
Wow. Well, thank you, Allison, and thank you, NISCA. This award was really very unexpected, really unbelievable, and very meaningful, and like the others, I don't know what to say about it. It's awesome. I first joined NISCA in 1964. That's the first year I started at Wilson High. We're in Pennsylvania. We're about an hour and a half north of Philadelphia, the Reading, Pennsylvania area. I actually coached 6 years at the Reading YMCA before I went to Wilson, so it's 66 years. But NISCA has always been an important part of my career. It's had a strong influence. It's always had very constant influence on my coaching career. We've participated in just about everything up here. Just this, just talking, sitting at a table with Marnie, and she does the All-American, and we just completed. We had 17 seniors on our team this year. I think it was 9 boys and 8 boys and 9 girls. And the 7 to 15 of them made academic All-American. So we're really, really proud of that. Matter of fact, on the lobby outside our Wilson pool, we now have over 500 All-American certificates. most of them in swimming, a lot in water polo, a lot in diving. We have an excellent diving coach and diving program, and a lot in water polo. And water polo and swimming go hand in hand at Wilson High. As Allison said, one of the other things we're so proud of is opposite that wall, we have 9 plaques from NISCA for being team champions for the PowerPoints. And those are probably the most important awards that we have out there because they really, exemplify a team, and that's what Wilson Swimming is all about. We're all about, as Allison said, everyone counts. Whether you're coming out for first time as a 9th grader, don't even know how to do a flip turn. If you do a 110 and 100 free, that might be good. But we try to make everyone count in our program. First attended, my first NISCA meeting was in 1973 in Knoxville, Tennessee. Ray Buzzard was a coach there then. And over the years, I've attended quite a few. Unfortunately, I haven't been at any of the recent ones, but I think I've been at like 30 or 35 of these conferences over the years. One of the highlights has been back in the 70s and 80s, I was a chairman for the NISCA All-American Water Polo. And I brought along the very first, the 1979 NISCA Water Polo Rule Book. Prior to that, we did the we did the NC2A Rule Book. And then along with the National Federation, we developed our first rule book. And we also developed the All-American system, the quota system, which is still in place today. So that's one of the things I'm really proud of with my association with NISCA. And as has been said a lot earlier, the friendships, the knowledge we've learned through clinics, and the recognition that you guys do to coaches is just beyond belief. And trust me, they are very meaningful. They really are. I'd like to thank the Wilson School District. I've been there for 60 years. First 20, I taught phys ed, mostly in the pool, because aquatics was part of our required phys ed curriculum. But I taught gym classes, I taught health classes and so forth. I did that for 20 years. And I was the school's athletic director for 20 years. And then I retired in 2002 as the AD. But in the meantime, all through that, I kept on coaching swimming, and for like 15 years, I also coached water polo. But Wilson School District is an award-winning academic school. We've won a lot of awards for academics, but we also have an administration and a school board that gets it as far as athletics and extracurricular activities. We have a wide range of activities for everybody, whether it's sports, whether it's drama, whether it's theater, whether it's music, band, you name it. We have programs for it. We have great facilities. We've turned out a lot of great athletes. Just to mention a few, we've had 3 or 4 NFL football players. Kerry Collins, who you might recall was a quarterback for the Giants. Just recently, Chad Henne, who was a backup to Mahomes in Kansas City. Both Wilson former quarterbacks. Right now we have Chris Finch, who's coaching the Timberwolves. He was one of our great basketball players about 15 years ago. And just last night I was watching one of our other alumni playing for Marquette, a young man named Stevie Mitchell. Marquette unfortunately went down last night. We were really cheering for him, and perhaps one that most of you might recognize, perhaps the best or the greatest swimmer that ever came out of our program was a young lady named Christy Kowal. And she went on to become, matter of fact, 24 years ago, I was here for the Olympic trials over at the pool when she won the 200-meter breaststroke and went on to the Sydney Olympics and missed the gold medal by about yay much in the 200-meter breaststroke.
She led for 199 meters and got touched out by a girl from South Africa. But Christy Colwell was, matter of fact, swam with Sheila down at Georgia, and went on to be the NC2A Woman of the Year, and that was for all sports. And when she graduated, she actually came back and helped coach for a while. And then just recently, she decided to move on, and she's now teaching out in California. But anyway, so we do have a storied tradition of athletics and just great academics at Wilson. So I have to thank everybody back at Wilson. We have just an unbelievable staff. Somebody asked me recently about, what would you say is the reason for the success of your swim teams at Wilson? And there's two reasons. One is our youth program, our age group program. This past year, we had almost 300 kids in our age group program. For the diving people, 35 of them were divers. These are kids from 6 to 14. And the other thing is water polo and swimming, we feed off each other. In the fall, we play polo, boys and girls. In the winter, we swim, boys and girls. In the spring and summer, we split and we do a little club stuff with each. And matter of fact, Monday we start spring training. So I have to thank everybody back at Wilson. Matter of fact, without them, this would not be possible. So I have to share it with a whole lot of co-coaches and other people back home. Allison mentioned my relationship with Coach Dick Geyer, who we recently lost. And this is the first NISCA conference I ever attended without him. We were in the York Suburban Driver Ed car when we went down to Knoxville, Tennessee, with about 3 or 4 other Pennsylvania coaches. And we had a lot of really good times together. He and I did the seminar clinics for a number of years, and we weren't great businessmen, but we did conduct great. I say we weren't great businessmen because we had Speedo underwriting us, and along came Head Sportswear, people that make the ski and the tennis stuff, and they decided they were going to get into swimming, and they made us an offer, and we went with Head Swimwear, only to realize later on that Speedos, sold like 95% of the suits in the world and had like 0.3, and they only lasted in swimming for a couple of years. But anyway, through those clinics, we got to brush shoulders with Eddie Reese and Doc Conselman, Randy Reese, and North Thornton and Howard Furby and Derek Snelling, people like that. So we really learned a lot there. Matter of fact, again, as Allison said, when we did a main clinician, like the guys I just mentioned, but we were bringing a swimmer as well. We had people like Tracy Calkins, and we had Rowdy Gaines. Rowdy slept in my son's bedroom. And so it's just the swimming connections that you make are just unbelievable. And then I saved my last thanks for my family. So my son Mike and my daughter-in-law Donna are here tonight. And Allison, who you met, both swam for us at Wilson. Both Mike was an outstanding swimmer at Penn State. Allison managed the men's swim team for 4 years and now has come back and not only taught and coached age group in our program for over 30 years, she's now my assistant coach. My wife, who I lost in 2015, was their biggest supporter and mine. We estimated when she died, she probably attended well over 1,000 swim meets. Kids loved her, and she taught about caring and compassion, and she would keep me grounded, no doubt about it. I'd come home really ticked off after a bad meet, bad practice. She said, "Roy, it's just swimming, okay? It's not a life-threatening thing. Get over it." So I know she'd be really proud of both Mike and Allison and our family. And quite honestly, now
Not only a dad, a granddad, but in the last 2 years, I'm now a great granddad. So I have a little Layla and a little Austin. So that's awesome as well. So to wrap it up, I got to say high school swimming is the best. High school swimming to me is where it's at. College swimming is great, no doubt about it. But to me, college swimming is pretty much recruiting today. And it's recruiting worldwide. Look at who's going to be swimming in the finals tonight. Club swimming, certainly great as well, has its place. But as someone mentioned earlier, high school swimming, each year you're dealt a new hand. You got a bunch of ninth graders come in. Some years you might have 4 aces. Some years you might have a full house. Some years you might have a low ball hand. Right? You might have an ace, 2, 3, 4, 6 of different suits. But anyway, you work with them, and 3, 4 years later, after the experience they've had in swimming, polo, diving, you have it, other activities at school, you turn out outstanding young men and young women. And not only that, they become your friends for life. And I think that's the most satisfaction that we can receive is watching, those kids go on and be successes in lives. So to me, again, someone mentioned too, you don't make a lot of money coaching swimming or coaching at the high school level. I mean, there's probably baseball players make more than for one at bat or one pitch than we make in a season. But I don't think anyone gets more out of it and gets more self-satisfaction and just know you've done the right thing for a long time. So again, thanks to NISCA, thanks to all the swimmers I've ever coached, thanks to my family, thanks to Wilson, thanks to everybody for making this a truly memorable affair. Thank you.
Thanks so much to everyone. This was a great banquet. Enjoyed hearing from everyone. Looking forward to next year as well. Hope to see many of you faces back again. Before the award winners take off, we need to get some pictures. So I'd like to just have all the award winners kind of filter their way up here. Tamara and Eve are going to organize some pictures of everyone. And again, thank you all for coming, and safe travels home. Okay, I'll have Maggie with me there. Okay, thanks. Then Maggie will let you in the room.